Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of The Venue for Venues. Tonight we're going to talk about a room that's really special to me, the Castle Theater down in Bloomington. We've got some people that are connected with the Castle that are going to talk to us about it. But before we get underway, we'd like to start off with some music from one of my favorite people, Mr. Chicago Farmer.
Good evening. When I woke up this morning, things were looking bad. Seemed like total silence was the only friend I had. A bowl of oatmeal tried to stare me down and won. It was 12 o'clock before I realized I was having no fun. But fortunately, I have the key to escape reality. And you may see me tonight with an illegal smile. It don't cost very much, but it lasts a long while. Won't you please tell the man I didn't kill anyone? No, I'm just trying to have me some fun. Last time I checked my bankroll, it was looking thin. Seems like the bottom is the only place I've been. I chased a rainbow down a one-way street, dead end. And all my friends turned out to be insurance salesmen. But fortunately, I have the key to escape reality. And you may see me tonight with an illegal smile. It don't cost very much, but it lasts a long while. Won't you please tell the man I didn't kill anyone? No, I was just trying to have me some fun. I sat there in the closet with my overalls, just trying to find a way, escape the years inside my walls. I heard the police, heard everything I wrote. What then? Well, I went to court and the judge's name was Hoffman. But fortunately, I have the key to escape reality. And you may see me tonight with an illegal smile. It don't cost very much, but it lasts a long while. Won't you please tell the man I didn't kill anyone? No, I'm just trying to have me some fun. Oh, well done, hot dog bun. Your sister's a nun. The Castle Theater and the venue sure are Sunday fun. Good evening. I'm grateful to be here tonight. That's a John Prine song. This is a song I wrote the night John Prine passed away. It was everything that happened to me that day. I'll warn you, it was kind of a long day. The day I saw an old friend of a friend of a friend, and we both wondered when we would see you again. And it's no surprising we ain't talking too much, with the distance rising. We're falling out of touch. Today I heard a joke about a joke about a joke. Got it from second-hand smoke. I laughed so hard I almost choked. and it's no surprising we ain't laughing too much. Got a fever that's rising, falling out of touch. Today I had a drink, with a drink, with every push and pull I'd sink a little further past the brink. And it's no surprising we've been drinking too much, with the emptiness rising, we're falling out of touch. Today I heard a lie, about a lie, about a lie, and it began to multiply. It's from another out of touch guy, and it's no surprising he's been boasting too much, with the numbers rising, we're falling out of touch. Today I had a dream, about a dream, about a dream, and I realized what it means. It's been too much time in between dreams, and it's no surprising we ain't sleeping too much. There's a restlessness rising, we're falling out of touch. Today I wrote a song, about a song, about a song, and now I know where I went wrong. 'Cause when I waited too long, and it's no surprising we ain't interacting too much. May the music and the writing and get us back in touch. Tonight I lost an old friend, of a friend, of a friend. Thanks for listening to my long day.
Well, first of all, yeah, there's my mic. For those of us who do this for a living and have been put on hold for so long, there's a wonderful feeling I have right now just hearing Cody sing and play. Like I haven't gotten to do it in a while, and it's just wonderful to have you here and to hear you right now. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to introduce our guest here in the middle. I'm going to ask him a question, and then Cody, it might as well roll to you too. We have with us Nick Leroy from NTL Productions. Nick is a talent buyer who works with all kinds of different places. Specifically tonight we're talking about the Castle Theater. And a lot of us who come out to shows and play, we all know Nick, but some of you might not know him by face or name, but you've probably been to shows that he's helped put together, especially at the Castle. And what I'd like to start with is asking Nick, what did you listen to when you were first young, and what made you decide I want to get into the music industry? And then after that, I'd also like to hear Cody say the same.
Hey, well, that's a good starting question. Thanks for the venue for having us here tonight. Appreciate that. Appreciate the invite. Scott, thank you. I think, like when I remember like in the first house I grew up in, my parents had a record player, and there was maybe like 3 or 4 records, like Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. It was the Springsteen box set, like from the 81, 85. I'm probably wrong on my years, but England Dan and John Ford Coley. Just a few things, and my parents weren't really that big into music, but of course, when you're driving in the car with your kid, with your family, there's usually stereo on. So, based on what my parents were listening to, which was that kind of stuff, so like, that roots rock and roll. Of course, I got my fair share of like the Tina Turner, and the Michael Jackson and all that, but. I got my real music influence from my best friend's parents, actually. Andy Katansky, which a lot of you guys know, actually. His parents were kind of like the older deadheads, He was a single child, and like that's where we hung out at, was their spot. And he was a woodworker, fantastic craftsman. And he'd come home from working at a nuclear power plant and go in the basement at night and create art through furniture, and always had like a really cool record player. So that's what we were listening to, Dylan, The Dead, Still Seeger, all the legendary stuff that kids should listen to early on, I think.
When did it go from listening into a basement into I want to do this?
Yeah.
And specifically backstage, you had mentioned something about here in Aurora. Maybe you can just give us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I lived like 2 blocks from here, 3 blocks from here, for years in college, and I went to Aurora University, played basketball at the university here, and got my degree in business. And I didn't really no idea what that meant. I had no aspirations of really what sector I wanted to go into, and there was nothing specific that I wanted to do. It's kind of freewheeling, I guess, even at that time. But I said when I walked in here, gosh, I wish we had something like this when I was in college. Sure. But we didn't. So I was putting on shows, mostly DJs, some local bands, in our basements in college. Excuse me. And that's kind of where I started putting on, events or gathering people together, I suppose, and promoting through like Sidewalk Chalk and the Quad, and like getting a hold of like the email list. That's when I first got an email account. So, but it wasn't. That's not what my thought process. I was just having a good time being a college kid. Right. Let's throw an epic party. And I had a career I was an account executive, outside salesperson, in a few different industries. I managed our outside business through distribution companies, mostly in construction sales and whatnot. And then I got into technology distribution. But the first time I wanted to do like a music event was watching this guy at Coconut Louie's in Bloomington, and Ernie Hendrickson was on the bill. And I had clients in Bloomington, and so I was there a lot for business, like 04 to like 12, even through a few years ago, or 5-6 years ago. But Coconut Louie's, they were playing like in the corner, and nobody was paying attention. And there was people there that were paying attention, not many, but there were people there paying attention. But I remember like getting like angry. I was like pissed. Like, what do you guys like? People are staring at this TV, the beer in front of them, just staring at this TV. And this guy's singing his heart out. Yeah. If listening to this guy doesn't make you have all the feels about life in general, I don't know, So at set break, I'm telling these guys my disdain, and they're laughing at me. I guess this is how it is. This is just how it is. Why does it have to be this way? So I couldn't wrap my head around that. And then just because of, being in logistics and marketing and business, and being a music fanatic, I was like, I'm going to put this show together in my back. I had a big backyard at the time and no neighbors. So I was gonna have him and like the Herbert Weiser band, Jake Willis, Ed Anderson, and guys like Becca. Tire Fire eventually made the bill, as yourself, of course. But it started as me just saying, hey, let's get some bands together and get people to come here that want to listen to what's going on and appreciate the time and energy that these folks put into creating art. And it stemmed into this thing called Farm Fest 450. After a much longer story, I would tell a much longer story, but I'm sure we're time constrained. So that turned into this little fest. I had no idea what I was doing, other than what I knew. You only know what you know, and then I wanted to present those bands, and then the one fest wasn't enough. I'm like, I want to do more. And so Farmer introduced me to the owner of Six Strings Club, Dan Rolfe, who then allowed me. He's like, I'll give you, I want a lot of hippie shit in here. It was like a country club, and but I did anyways. And so I got like one Friday a month. And then it eventually turned into like two. And then he's like, oh, you can like have the calendar. You can do what you want here. Because we created a vibe there. And it was before me even. It was Farmer and Ed. We're doing the Wednesday thing. Just attracting people from all over to come and just see what was going on in Bloomington. And we just tried to, give a home for live music. And that was before the Castle came into town. It was a few years before the Castle opened up.
Right. All right. And before we get to the Castle, I want to backtrack and first of all ask a little bit about Cody's roots and ask a bit about Coconut Louie's. I remember that place. I played that place. And also I would like to point out, as Nick is talking about Six Strings and how it was a country place, but they started moving in that hippie shit. One of the shows I was thinking about earlier, I was trying to remember when I met both of you, and I'm pretty close, but not super close to when it happened. But one of the first shows I saw of Cody's at Six Strings, there was a snafu. He was doing a thing that I think you had put together with the whip, and then there was also like a country line dancing thing that was supposed to happen afterwards, but like maybe something got delayed, so there was like a lot of like people that were into folk and singer-songwriter stuff, and then there was like a mass of country line dancers that were coming in and getting ready for what they were there for. And you had closed, I'll never forget this because I thought it was really brilliant. You had closed with Stuck in the Middle, and you changed the lyrics to cowboys on the left of me, hippies on the right. Here I am stuck in the middle.
That's a great memory. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you, how it started, where it came from, and maybe how you two coincided.
I can't remember if it was line dancing night or the mechanical bull.
Oh, it might have been the
mechanical bull.
You're right.
That's really what sells tickets.
Yeah, that's true.
At the time.
But it cuts your capacity in half.
My dad always really wanted to be a rock star, and he kind of was in a way. He looked the part. He acted the part. His favorite band was 10 Years After.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of 10 Years After as a kid, and Led Zeppelin and Beatles. But more, I think it was the attitude of my dad that led to me kind of being a free spirit, because he always wanted to run his own business. He never wanted to answer to anybody. Mm-hmm. So not only was I introduced to great music, but I was introduced to this freewheeling attitude of I make up the rules.
Right.
I follow my own path. And so that really made a big difference in me musically and writing. And even though I don't necessarily play rock and roll, I kind of feel like I have that rock and roll attitude in my music and stuff like that. So that was very inspiring. And my parents were always so supportive. And when I was young, I wasn't even into much because I was in a small town. We didn't have much to choose from, except was on the radio. But I used to write in this notebook, and I used to write really, really weird stuff in this notebook. And I remember my mom found it one day, and I was like, most kids probably would have got sent to boarding school or something like that. And my mom was like, "This is great. Keep it up,"
Yeah.
And so ever since then, I've just been blessed. And then I was hanging out with some friends in high school, and we were listening to a lot of harder rock and roll stuff and punk rock stuff. And I remember walking downstairs, and my friend's dad was a janitor at the local armory in town. And when he wasn't working, he was always playing this old National flat-top guitar, and he sang Hank Williams, as close to Hank Williams as anybody I ever heard.
Wow.
And as soon as I heard that purity of the acoustic guitar and that voice, I fell in love with that, but I also still was kind of into this rock and louder stuff, and so I just was inspired to put them both together as much as I could.
That makes sense because whether you're with a band or solo, there's a lot of energy that goes on and interaction between you and the audience, which is what we kind of see with rock and roll. So I agree with you. It creates the spirit.
Gotcha. Yeah, and also going back to Nick, I'm from a small town too, and I think it was kind of, I never have anything against anybody playing music, but it was frustrating back in the day when we would go to bars and stuff and just the places would be slammed when the cover bands would play in the old small towns, and then like we would go there and try to perform our own music and art, and it was very dead.
Yeah.
Which was always disgruntling, but I always still had fun. I mean, I could listen to somebody play Twist and Shout all night and have a great night, but there's also this other type of music where people are, really expressing themselves, and I think Nick saw that and started wanting to, show that to a different audience,
Well, and
bring that in.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's an interesting thing, and I guess this goes back to what Nick was starting to put together, and maybe we can move it from here. Is that there's a contentment when you're playing and you first get your gigs and you're just out playing and it feels great. There's another thing though that starts to emerge. I remember when I really started to first feel it when I was much younger was when the Bulls championships were playing and you'd have your band and somebody would tell you like, don't worry, you still have the gig and everything's cool, but we just brought in 16 TVs that we're putting above the band, and everyone's going to watch the Bulls game. No offense to the Bulls, but it got a little disheartening where you realized, sort of what Nick was describing, where everyone was watching TV with a beer. So that seems kind of like where your impetus was. Like the people should be paying attention to these people. This is why Six Strings happened, or your backyard events started to happen, and then. Okay, so this is another thing that I was pulling from my memory today. So I remember playing the Castle Theater before it was the rehabbed Castle Theater, because Backyard Tire Fire, and I don't even know if I was playing in the band at the time or I was just brought out as a guest. But they started doing their jamboree thing, and there was one year it was at the castle, and it was the old school castle, and we could see that it had the potential to be this great place, but it was just kind of this old theater, and I have it on film somewhere, but I don't know where it is. But the story had went at the time that the last person that had performed at the Castle Theater was Dave Coulier from Full House. He did a comedy
Cut
set.
it out.
Yeah, so I have somewhere, there was no upstairs green room at the time or anything, but right where the stage entrance is, I have somewhere a picture of Ed sitting in a chair saying to me on video, I'm just trying to feel what Dave Coulier was feeling in that moment. But then it got bought out and restructured, and then shows started to happen, and maybe we can start to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the ownership group, Rory O'Connor kind of is the general manager.
Yeah.
Not kind of is.
Yeah.
Really great partnership group they have. They, I think it was closed before then, and you can, because I moved to Bloomington, and even though I was doing shows there, I didn't move there until 2012.
Okay.
But I think it was empty for a minute. And then Rory has been putting on shows. He was a part owner of the Whip radio station.
Oh, wow.
Which is a really great Americana roots
Yeah.
rock radio station. And so, they had a good listenership, and he was putting on shows with a lot of the acts that they were putting in rotation. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And then, fell upon the Castle, and before you know it, had a partnership and opened the doors. And they've done a really great. The partnership group there is really, really awesome. The whole staff is awesome there. And that's what's, from the beginning. And you guys know here with this venue, it's slowly but surely, like as long as you build the right team and put the right branding in place and do things the right way, book their quality acts, book some quality stuff that everybody could like of all genres, then it's a good recipe, and they've put that together. And
well, and I remember too, and this is something that we can maybe talk about on a global level, as far as we've had a bunch of different clubs here talking about being shut down, and not just talking about what it's done for themselves, but the community. And I remember when the Castle started, I believe there was an initial little fear from some of the other bars, like, wait a minute, they're putting in this big place. Yeah. But what the Castle said, which has proven, I think, to be true, was that, hey, we're going to do these regional, national acts that are going to come in and play a show, and then these people are going to spill out to restaurants and bars. We're not trying to take away business from people. We're actually going to try to increase business what's there. And I think one of the things that we've seen time and time again, and like we know it here at the venue, is that we bring in people from out of town that don't know Aurora, but they want to come see a show.
Right.
And when they come into town, they find a place to go to dinner. They find a place to have a nightcap afterwards. And so that, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was one of the differences in putting the Castle there, is that it was show-based, and it wasn't about keeping people in there till whenever bars close.
Right.
And then it kind of offered...
Yeah, no, it's very much a venue.
Yeah.
The venue's only open for shows. It's not a bar. It's not a restaurant. It's just a place to go and enjoy yourself. And we've got a great local downtown scene of good restaurants and bars that very much feel the effects of the Castle being in full swing.
Right.
The venue attracts people from, on average, 75 miles away.
Right.
It's just a great, neat little space, and this is where the trickle down really does show its weight and makes sense. That I've seen it over the years. I know Cody can probably attest to that. It's true. When we're rocking and rolling there, man, there's 3 other venues within blocks. I remember one night I had 2 or 3 of the shows going on out of like 4, and no, I had 2 of them, and the Castle had John Hyatt. The Castle of John Hyatt. We had a show at Jazz Up Front. We had Steady Flow at Six Strings Club, and there was a show at the Night Shop, literally all within walking distance of downtown Bloomington. I remember bouncing around to all of them. I almost like had tears in my eyes because they were all like sold out.
Yeah.
And that's really cool to see.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very much an anchor of the downtown, and it's such a beautiful room. It's got the original Tiffany chandeliers and the vaudeville feel.
And let me just interject one side thing, and then I want to kind of ask specifically how you got involved with it and some of the things that you specifically have done there. And then I kind of want to move to Cody and hear about his experience with it. But I have to say, because it just shot into my memory, that, one of the things that I cherish now more than ever is all the little gold things that have happened to me as a result of being a musician. And one of the great privileges that I had was Tire Fire did the Cub opener multiple times out with XRT at Yaxie's.
I used to go. Yeah.
So the thing...
John Hyatt.
Yeah, so the thing was, I insisted for some stupid reason I had to have an amp of this guy who builds my amps, and we had gear in the South because we were on tour at the time, but we flew back to do the gig, and this guy was going to loan me an amp, and I had to get it there before everybody else. I don't know why I couldn't have just used Backline at the time, but I had to be this amp.
Waco Brothers, they were
yes,
right?
Yes. God bless Joe Camarillo. Yes. But long story short, I was sitting in an alley, and the rest of the Tire Fire guys were coming up, and they hadn't arrived yet. And this guy doing production told me, he's like, it's so packed in there, we literally can't have you come in, and you literally can't move this amp. You're just going to have to sit in the alley right now. And I was like, okay. And so I sat in the alley, and I think they brought me, this was probably not legal, but they brought me as a consolation prize a beer, which was like 7:30 in the morning in an alley. You know, that's great. But I'm sitting there, tired after not flying, or after flying and being on tour, and I'm sitting with this amplifier, and out of the sun comes a perfectly dressed John Hyatt, and he's standing,
I was standing right next to you.
there
You remember
go.
this?
Yeah. And so he says, he looks at me and he goes, "Who are you here with?" And I said, "Backyard Tire Fire." And he goes, "What is the instrumentation?" And I said, 2 guitars, bass, and drums. And he looked at me and he got that beautiful smile of his, and he said, "Why mess with the classic?" And then walked away.
Dude, it was a long time ago. I was right next to you because I remember the big limo. There was like a limo Sprinter goes down the alley, right? And it goes through the alley, and then out gets this guy in this Canadian tuxedo, right? And just like he said, like sauntering down the alley. It was like a Wild West.
It was
movie.
a vision.
And it was a vision. I share this with you.
Yeah,
and
I'm sorry I didn't
No,
remember.
it's okay. It's okay. But like when you started bringing it up, I was like, dude, I was literally right next to you. It was
gold.
And remember he says, "Hello, gentlemen. I'm John." And just as you said, he asked about the instrument. Like, and he played. Remember, he told us he played the Masters like the night before, and he flew into Chicago. He played like a private event at the Masters tournament, and then had to fly in and caught like the red eye, and then had this like Sprinter van drop him off in the alley.
These are the little things that we've been blessed with that now more than ever I take those little memories and cherish them, you know. So why don't we talk though, Nick, how you got involved with the Castle? How did that start? You know.
Yeah, so I mean, I was just an independent promoter. I was, I didn't know what I was doing 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 7. I was just trying to continue to bring good quality music to town, and I didn't understand what talent buying meant, and I didn't understand really how to market a show. And then these guys popped up, and I started picking up on what they were putting down, and going to these shows, and got to meet Rory. And so just kind of independently, I would put my own shows in there. They would let independent promoters come in. And that's how it was for years. I partner with those folks. I don't work for the Castle, but it's where I put the majority of my shows. And Rory and I work diligently every day together and collaborate and just, share our ideas. And he's been a major mentor to me. So all these years I did independently. And then I really was like, got to the point where I was just going to like leave the industry. I was going to leave the business. It's just a tough business, as you guys know, especially from a promoter point of view. But, we had the right nuts and bolts together, and I knew what I liked, musically. Right. Why don't you come to what I like?
Yeah.
But I was just ready to kind of throw the towel in, and Rory was like, you know what, why don't we do something different? And we want to keep talking about some of the opportunities that I had, because that's what this is about, creating opportunities in this industry and relationships. Yeah, it's relationships. Yeah. None of us would be sitting on the stage without really good relationships with people, and that's what that is. The Castle is for me is a tremendous. Rory again became my mentor in a lot of ways, and so. Over the years, the last 3 or 4 years, it's been him and I knocking away the majority of the calendar there.
Yeah, and why don't you give us just a little bit about and I know maybe everybody participating or watching knows this, but I think it's just kind of important. If you can maybe just specifically talk about what a talent buyer promoter does, and then maybe drift into a little bit of some of the shows you have there and some of the memories that you have.
Oh man, memories are abundant. Yeah. I mean, even like Rory's had Snoop Dogg, and he brought in Isabel early. Isabel played 4 shows before he popped. Yeah. I've brought the Revivalist in very early on. We've had Portugal the Man, Drive-By Truckers. I mean, just endless. If you can think of an act that's really good, in that small, medium-sized club arena, that theater-sized based room, we've been very reluctant where we're positioned. You know, we can route a lot of bands from Indy to St. Louis to Chicago, Quad Cities.
Right.
You know, that's the business of the industry. It's a lot of it's logistics. And again, I applied over time, learned I applied my skills of working on a construction job, you know, where there's a plumber, electrician, a concrete guy, a framer, an architect. You know, there's all these different people involved. It's not one person. It's not one band. There's a big army, a big team of people that puts on these events. Yeah. And how do you account for everything, and how do you make it all work? I'm still learning every day, you know. But a talent buyer, essentially, I mean, you're negotiating the terms, right, with the agencies and management teams, and trying to find common ground on. Unfortunately, you have to put value on art and entertainment. Yeah. You know, I tell people like you wouldn't buy a car for $10,000. The Blue Book's for $5,000.
Right.
You know, so it's risk assessment, right? So it's what maybe is this act worth in this market? At what ticket rate? What's our expenses? You know, let's peel the onion back. Let's because you know if the venues don't make money, then there's no place for bands to play.
Absolutely.
So it's just trying to figure out that really good working relationship between agency and management and artist and venue, so everybody can just make it work and get by and pay their bills and
and I would think
and get and get what you're worth. If you're an artist that can sell a club out, you should be paid for selling the club out.
Right.
You know.
Well, and maybe you can talk to us too about, because I think one of the arts in having a club, talent buying, promotion, is that sometimes you'll see a band that you're interested in, but you know that your neighborhood or your area, they're not quite exposed yet, but you have a long-term vision that, hey, if you come here 2 or 3 times, you can build something. And then please talk to me about that. And then Cody, maybe because you've been touring endlessly, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you know, with the local and regional acts and, you know, just tri-state area acts, it is about repetition. It's about if you think you're gonna hit a home run the first time at the plate, then you're playing the wrong game. You know, there's a bunch of bunts and singles and doubles you got to hit, and you know, reaching the right audience. You know, put efforts towards the show that make the most sense. If I'm going to present a farmer show, I'm not going to target folks that maybe go to a heavy metal concert typically. Sure. And over time, we've learned how we can focus on the right target base to then in the end get the right the right crowd that wants to see what we're putting on the stage.
Sure.
I don't know, Cody.
Yeah, going back to the castle and like my history, we mentioned Backyard Tire Fire a few times, and that band and specifically Ed Anderson's kind of been on my entire musical journey. But in the late '90s, early 2000s, the Bloomington Normal music scene was very DIY, like to the core. You know, we were just like playing in coffee houses, playing in basements, playing in living rooms. We used to play in garages all the time, and I remember I saw Ed Anderson's band, Brother Jed, for the first time in a little garage in Normal, and that really inspired me to like starting to do this more and doing it full time, and we did, and there were a few bars and a few places, but we would play these living rooms or these garages or these backyards. We'd be like, this was amazing, but how cool would it be if we just had a venue that, you know, we could do our thing locally, but also would have other acts come through that, you know, we could be inspired by and, you know, that would motivate us and all these things, you know. And so I remember I've been mooching off Backyard Tire Fire forever because I remember when the first Castle was a movie theater, they played there. They were the first band to play there, and I opened up for them then. And then several years later, Rory and the guys bought it, and it became the Castle that it is now. And like that first weekend, I opened up for Tire Fire again there too. So I don't know. And it was just like I remember those nights, like looking at Ed and being like, you know, we've played all these bars, we played all these backyards, we played all these
living rooms and kitchens and everywhere, and now we have this venue that really is going to do so much for the community. And like we were talking about before, whenever I have a gig, people are emailing me and they're calling me, where do I eat before the gig? Where do I get coffee?
Yeah.
Where's a great place to have a beer? And all these things. Where should I stay? And, usually trying to stay in my house, which I don't like, don't find another place to stay. And so, yeah, it really is a huge community thing.
Yeah.
And, even for a while there, Nick, I remember we were doing shows like upstairs of the castle for bands that could only couldn't fill the castle. They had a little spot too, and
It's called the Keep.
yeah, the Keep. And so yeah, I think it's the best thing since Beer Nuts to happen in Bloomington. Normal.
Well,
it's really been just ginormous.
You nailed those community. Like it you had to build your base first, right? And I think, dating back even before Farmer and them, there was somebody that started that base, and kind of was probably the Backyard Tire Fire guys, really, that really kind of started to slowly but surely get a scene built up in the community of Bloomington and Central Illinois in general. And Champaign-Urbana had their own thing going on, and Peoria has their own thing going on, and they all played very well off one another as well. You get people from Peoria to come to Bloomington, and Bloomington, Peoria, and vice versa. Springfield. But a music venue is only as good as its radius, as its base.
Yeah.
And educating people on what some good music is out there. Just give them the opportunity through social media, or through having a good website, good promotions, and just saying, hey, look, and if they choose to take the time to invest, to watch a video and say, whoa, hey, that was great. I'm going to actually go to this show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what it takes. It takes one at a time doing that.
Yeah.
And over and over and over again. And so, as just more talking about talent buying and promotions, I mean, that's just one thing I learned that I never, I'm usually very, got to get to the finish line right away kind of guy.
Yeah.
But I've learned to take it slow and steady in this business, and just try to focus on the right things, and making sure the bands are taken care of and sounded good. And
That's a huge component, and that's one thing, because I played the first Tire Fire Castle. I think that was when I was actively playing with them, and I remember all of us just being over the moon at the fact that we were in this place where every attention to detail as far as sound was concerned, not that we didn't have great experiences in Bloomington, we did, but this was like a different kind of thing. And one of the things we've talked about a lot consistently on this program is the fact that as a musician, there's something about coming into a comfortable space where you realize these people really just care about your show, and they're going to do everything they can to help promote it as long as you help promote it, and they're going to do everything to make you comfortable, whether it be monitor-wise or a green room that actually has a bathroom with a door on it, like little things that people don't think about when they're on the road. Things get kind of squirrely, and I remember just that place was just immediately this wonderful space. And I think the first show that we did, Fish Carpenter was doing sound, and that was the first time that any of us, I think, had an experience with a digital board. And I remember not understanding him saying, like, well, I'm going to save all the presets. And I was thinking, like, well, what the hell does that mean? And then the next time we came in there, he was like, I've got all your presets set, so your monitors should be where they were. And they were. And it was glorious,
That's Rory. Rory's an audiophile, He's very particular on the sound, more so than I am. I'm kind of deaf, and I know when it sounds bad or when it sounds good, but I'm not one of those guys that has like a 6-figure turntable.
Sure.
But Rory O'Connor of the Castle, like that's all him. That made sure that musicians would speak exactly how you are.
Yeah,
about the room.
It was always beautiful. I mean, I was at one of those Southeastern shows with Isbel, and first of all, I remember the energy that band gave off, where you just knew, like, this is the last time that they're going to play an 800-seat room. But also, I just remember being so proud that there was this venue that I got to witness sort of be put together throughout the years that could house something like this. So wonderful. And Cody and I were talking backstage about not only missing playing, but missing seeing music. And you were talking about the shows that come out there and how you guys, you and Kimber had a place to go where you could go see some great music on a Monday night, maybe reflect a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a musician, you just feed off of other musicians.
Yeah.
I think I was at that Isabel show that night too.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot of people making out that whole show, like the ship was going down. It was a very inspiring show. Everybody around me was making out.
That's
I was like,
amazing.
Is this the last one you're speaking of? Like
I
the
don't
last
know.
Southeastern show? Like the last one you played at the castle?
I don't know. I just remember I want to make people make out like Jason Isbell is right now at a Chicago farmer show. But no, and like a lot of these acts flow through the castle on like a Monday, Tuesday night. So as a touring musician, those are like my nights off where I want to go out. Like Monday is my night to hit the town. Go paint the town. So to have these great acts coming through on nights like that and having the opportunity to go see music and be inspired by it is huge. Yeah. And as far as the touring thing we're talking about for a minute, like I think the most crucial thing of being a touring act is having a great home base.
Yeah.
It's amazing to go play the castle and have that experience. And, the next night I'll be, in Des Moines, Iowa, and, nobody will know my songs and there won't be this huge crowd. And so it's kind of like spiritually and emotionally playing at your home venue like the castle, it sticks with you.
Yeah.
And also, I don't do too much about the business, but financially, it really helps too.
He's being modest. He probably sold out Des Moines.
Because we had 80 people the last time I played Des Moines, and that was 60
80
people.
out of
That was
81?
60 more people than the last time, so I felt pretty good about it. But it's like, you sell all your T-shirts, you sell your albums, and now you're going to go hit the road, and that's not going to happen. But these, having that home base and that love and that support from the home base, it really it flows over to everything else you do, and it sticks with you. And so I think that's priceless,
It is, and I feel like when you're on the road, there's something about having that connection and heart of your home space that helps you through the nights that aren't so glorious. You know that there somewhere in the world somebody gives a shit.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It may not be tonight, but that's a beautiful feeling. I've had, I would say, probably some of the most memorable moments I've ever had in music was either on that stage or in that audience, because there's also and maybe Nick, you can address this, like you said earlier, like there's just this incredible staff, like the sound, the bar, the production, everything about it is top notch out there,
Yeah, I mean it's home for a lot of people.
Yeah.
We've got what we call golden ticket members that Rory came up with, and it's people that invested in the entire year of coming, and a lot of that's because of the staff. I mean, it's business-wise one of the lowest turnovers I've ever seen. Nicole Selzer is the marketing director, and she started. I think she was Rory's first hire.
Wow.
The castle celebrated 10 years last October, so that long ago. And she's morphed into, managing the bar and special events and sales and director of marketing, and just worked her way up from the top. And Jay Larson was like the best. When I put a show in the castle, I just know it's taken care of. And from a promoter who really cares about the band's experience, that is a huge weight off your shoulders.
Sure.
To know that it's going to be branded properly and promoted properly, and the bands will be treated properly. The advances will go smoothly. Some of these acts that come through, there's some major stuff to discuss.
Yeah.
And there's schedules to put together, and that's a lot of attention to detail, and the folks that work there are very much attention to detail and want the same things that I want, and everybody should want is the best fan experience possible.
Right. What has the castle been doing while they've been put on hold during the pandemic, and what are the plans in the future?
Well, we haven't done anything. We produced an event. We produced an event last fall called Distance at the Diamond. Rory and I all summer we were trying to figure out something for outdoors, and it wasn't easy, in the middle of a pandemic and trying to do stuff on city property and whatnot. And we just kept kind of kicking the can down the road and could never really get anything confirmed until we put these baseball concerts on, these baseball stadium concerts. And they're grid-based concerts. So we did Blackberry Smoke. We did 3 nights of those, and they were very successful, and people loved them. And so that was the only real in-person show we were able to present. But soon after the pandemic hit, we had Anna Popovic was on March 12th. It was sold out. Bone Thugs and Harmony was March 13th, and Bone Thugs, only 70% of the people came of a sold out show. Right. And I was at Anna Popovic, and I remember being there am I supposed to be here? Right. This is weird. Everybody was walking on broken glass. It was just the weirdest vibe I've ever felt at a show, other than being at a couple death metal shows in the late 90s or something. But I like death metal. Nothing against death metal, but just saying.
Sure.
But no, we decided to create a streaming platform. So Empire Live and Backyard Tire Fire played, Farmer played. We wanted to create something for bands to still be able to work and put our crew together. So by the end of March, I think he played the first one. And it was March 31st was the date, I believe. And we've produced 10 to 12 since then. But really, it was it was the only thing we were able to do, as most venues went to, was streaming. But we got on it early. We had a really great platform, really great website, a paywall system. We wanted to monetize it. This is your guys' careers, our careers, it's our staff's careers. We wanted to monetize it, and that's what we came up with. And so we've done some of those, and we continue to present those opportunities to bands even for the fall and whatnot.
Sure.
So the goal moving forward is to focus on summertime outdoor events. So you'll see a lot of stuff. We're working our ass off. We've got a lot of things coming that are really great. I can't talk about them now, but some really cool things are happening for the summer outdoors. And we're booking tours for the fall. We've got some great bookings already for the fall. And we're just crossing our fingers that our numbers will be squashed and people will get the vaccine. And we can put this behind us, and we can present shows in a safe manner that coincides with the legalities of our local government. So that's the plan moving forward. We're planning. We're not afraid to reschedule or kick the can down the road again. We've already been doing that in our industry for so long.
Right.
I mean, we've had to move 30 plus shows 4 times now. I managed the Nielsen Trust as well, with Rick and Miles and Kelly and them, and we had a tour that was just about to hit in mid-March, and we're on our 4th reschedule. We're pushing it again to December. Sneak peek, anybody who's a TNT fan, the shows from May are now going to December. But the new norm hopefully will be a thing of our past here soon.
We hope so.
And we can carry on safely. But yeah, we're never going to stop creating and trying to make things happen. But for now, it's just streaming, and then summer and fall.
Okay. And Cody, you had just released a record last year, which anybody who knows, when you release a record, it's time to hit the highway and go play shows. And that probably got cut quite short. So talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah, I had this batch of songs that I was really excited about and proud of, and I'd been touring with these guys called the Band of Heathens. So we headed down there and made a record, and pretty much I spent all of 2019 prepping for 2020. It was going to be the year of Chicago Farmer and this album called Flyover Country. And it was for about 2 months there, But the year, it kicked off, to a great start. And I got to tour with this guy named Todd Snyder, and I got to sell a lot of records on that tour. And then we had February and half of March, and then it was just all over, So pretty much a year of planning, a year of booking agent, booking shows, a year of publicity, a year of radio campaign, all for 2020, you know. So, but some people didn't even get to tour at all, you know. Some
Sure.
people released records in March and they didn't get to play shows at all. So, in some ways we are lucky, but that's just, you know, kind of the way the cookie crumbles in this line of work, and in any line of work really, you know. You plan and it doesn't always work out the way you hoped, but you got to keep pressing on, you know.
Sure. And you and the band, will you be doing some outdoor dates and stuff like this year?
Yeah, definitely. We've been getting offers to play back, you know, patios, beer gardens for a long time, but I'm just not ready yet. You
Sure.
know?
I'll make
Just
one
trying to
announcement
play it
right now
smart.
about that.
Yeah.
I'll do it right now. It's gonna be July 10th, Chicago Farmer Bobblehead Night
Yeah.
at the normal Corn Belters.
Oh, that's
Stadium.
amazing.
Yeah.
So we're doing a summer concert series after baseball games this summer on their pavilion. It's going to be awesome. Free shows after baseball games. The whole calendar's coming out soon. Really good stuff.
That's amazing.
And Farmer's going to have his own bobblehead night. So the first 100 fans on July 10th
That's amazing.
at
wouldn't
normal
want
Corn
one
Belter Stadium.
Who
Going
wouldn't want one
to
of
bobblehead.
these?
But more details to come.
Sure. Well, I know, and maybe we should just go here right now. I know that Farmer also had a legendary appearance here outdoors last year because we were doing just outdoor shows, and we had if I remember correctly, you for an indoor show, but then the
Yeah.
pandemic, then it got, as you were talking about, moved until finally this outdoor show, and it was cold and it rained,
Yeah.
and you and the field notes just stuck it out, and so did the audience.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful to the venue. As rough as 2020 was, that was one of my most memorable shows out here in the courtyard at the venue. And they have this really cool garage door, so we got to pull our drummer in. So our drummer stayed dry and didn't get electrocuted. But the rest of us were like, we don't care. We haven't played live music in so long. You know, I'll take a few shocks here and there. And we never got shocked once. We got really wet. My Stetson wool hat
Yeah.
is no more, but it was a great last show for it to have.
I dig the fact that the only person that doesn't have an electric instrument was covered.
Exactly. Yes. Well, he plays the keys at the same time,
That's
so
true,
he has like
yeah.
a Nord that he wanted to draw, and I get it. And
Yeah,
you know, as the leader of the band, I threw myself out there, but it was so cool, and the fans just were like, "We haven't had live music in so long. We don't care if it's pouring. We have umbrellas.
Yeah.
We have parkas. Let's just get down." And it was a memorable experience that the show got to go on.
It was considered legendary around these parts, and we're
Perfect.
excited to get you back. So
For us too.
why don't we do this? Why don't we close a little bit here with Nick? You tell us a little bit about you've told us a little bit about what's coming up from NTL Talk, or Castle Talk about NTL Touch, and then let's hear a few songs from Mr. Chicago Farmer.
Well, currently, I mean, we're doing distanced indoor, safe distance shows at the Piazza in Aurora, and in Libertyville at the Impact Fuel Room. We've got like Samantha Fish on sale. She sold out already one night a month in advance. A little bit of country, a little bit of rock, but again, very limited capacity shows this spring, and the summer stuff we're not ready to announce yet. But
Sure.
But yeah, I would just, if you're into really good music, follow NTL Productions on Instagram and Facebook and all that jazz. We got plenty of stuff coming up, that's for sure. We're gonna get through this, and we've got a full calendar ready to go when we do, and we're just eager to get going. But we wanted, and we've always wanted to do it the safe way, and make sure fans know that anything we're doing is going to be safe until we get to the other side of this thing.
Yeah, well, speaking of safe, here's how we're going to do this. So, Brother Chicago Farmer has offered to play a little bit more, and we'd love to hear him. So, at this particular point in time, I'd like to thank Nick Leroy, NTL Productions. I want to thank the Castle Theater as well. It's one of my favorite places to play. I'm glad we got to shed some light on that place. And then I think Nick and I should stage exit and listen to some Farmer.
I'd like to say to the venue, thank you guys all. The folks that can't see, their staff is amazing, very pro. Just couldn't ask for a better experience. Sounds great, looks great. If you're into, again, really great, intimate, cool shows of all genres, I'd check this place out, because if this was down the street from my house or within driving distance, I'd be here often.
We were blessed to have this space and these people.
Yeah. So thank you guys all, everybody here, guys and gals. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Nick. Cool?
Yes.
All right, man.
Yeah, I want to say too, you know, I'm a songwriter, but sometimes it's hard to put everything into words, but I'm just so grateful for the Castle Theater and the venue, and I love the variety that they bring, really. So when this all turns around, please get out to a show and support your local venues, everybody. He could always be found in the backyard. The bases he'd round until it grew too dark. When his time came, he didn't hesitate. They put him in the game, and he stepped up to the plate. He was thinking curveball, but he got instead 95 miles an hour right into his head. He hobbled down to first with a lump on his face, and on the very next pitch, he up and stole second base. With the greatest speed, he wasn't born, but he had the dirtiest uniform. With the greatest speed, he wasn't born, but he had the dirtiest uniform. Board was out of touch, kids were out of reach. She never gave up on her passion to teach. And even though the school's on the wrong side of the tracks, she crossed over and she came and gave back. We knew she could have left, but she stuck around to get everyone else's feet back on the ground. Then we would thrive and we'd achieve, 'cause she's the first one to arrive and the last one to leave. From the wealthiest town, she wasn't born, but she had the dirtiest uniform. From the wealthiest town, she wasn't born, but she had the dirtiest uniform. Both of them folks, they were heroes to me. And I grew up with hopes of something to be. I'd watch him play, listen to her teach, and I set out on my way to practice what they preach. So I heard my calling, and I found my thing. And I spend my Sundays falling down trying to sing. But I get back up just like they taught, and I keep on working with the tools that I got. With the prettiest voice, I wasn't born, but I'll have the dirtiest uniform. With the prettiest voice, I wasn't born, but I'll have the dirtiest uniform. Names in the lights, get out of the van. Another night talking music with Scott Tipping and NTL Productions. Putting in the miles,
living the dream. It's all worthwhile the times you take one for the team. With the catchiest sound, we weren't born, but we've got the dirtiest uniforms. With the catchiest sound, we weren't born, but we've got the dirtiest uniforms. Oh, the catchiest songs we don't perform, but we've got the dirtiest uniforms. All right. Well, come on, boys, I can see the light through the shadow of my doubt. I'll make a run at the sun tonight and be home before it's out. Pour some fuel on the fire and I'll make good time. So meet me down at the Indiana line. Yeah, meet me down at the Indiana line. Got a heavy thought, but my foot is soft, and we're 30 through these towns. Yeah, I won't stop till I make the drop and I turn this thing around. Well, I'll obey the signals, I'll obey them signs. Just point me towards that Indiana line. Yeah, point me towards that Indiana line. Yep. It's a make or break to the interstate, no way I could get caught. With a stack of bills and a holster fill, I do it in one shot. I'll be the king of the roadkill, two birds at one time. I'm a stone's throw from the Indiana line. I'm a stone's throw from the Indiana line. There's an overhaul in the left lane stall, the sheriff on my tail. I'll pray it pass, so I hit that gas and move on down the trail. 'Cause I won't be forgiven, they don't take too kind. Now holding up that Indiana line. Well, holding up that Indiana line. There's a standstill, oh, in Danville. I'm falling way behind. There's a standstill, oh, in Danville. I'll be losing more than my mind. Come on, boys, they're flashing lights in the shadow of my doubt. I made a run at the sun tonight, now all my options out. Hope I make it back home to Illinois, the beating or refined. Yeah, this could be the Indiana line. Oh, this could be the Indiana line. Yeah, this must be the Indiana line. Yep.
I always like to do this after that song. You know, it's like the rock stars do. Well, good evening, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here. I'm Chicago Farmer. I'm grateful to be a part of that beautiful chat about music and my favorite venue, the Castle Theater. And great to do it here at one of my other favorite venues, the Venue in Aurora, Illinois. Those two songs are off my most recent album called Flyover Country. And tonight we are
do have the donate thing down there for the folks at the Castle Theater. And if you go to my website, chicagofarmer.com, and you buy a CD or a vinyl, I'm going to donate that money to the Castle crew as well. So go to chicagofarmer.com after this performance. Buy some Chicago Farmer merch. It's going to go to the Castle crew, who I love dearly. It's been so many times when I play at the Castle that all these unruly fans, they try to jump on stage and get to me, and the Castle staff keeps them off of me. And they make a really stiff, good drink, too, so I'm happy to return the love to them for everything they've done for me. This is a song here I wrote many moons ago. Music has always been there for me in the hardest and darkest of times, even now, in these times. And I'm so fortunate that I have it to turn to. And this is a song I wrote when I was going through another really difficult time. And I have the greatest family in the world, but sometimes you're even away from them. So music is a friend to me, such a good friend to me. Hope it's been there for y'all too. I arrived here kicking and screaming the day that I took the stage. I went searching for some kind of meaning, like words looking for a page. I came up empty and full of worry that nothing could cover the pain. And these songs and stories began unfolding like an umbrella in the rain. I want to write you a sad, sad song that I hope will make you smile. And then we could pass it along. We're only here for a little while. Ooh, 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 ooh. Strike up a chord, strike up the band, and we'll play out the lessons learned. Strike up a match, then it's 3 strikes, you're out, and depression will take its turn. We've been trying to find our way through the darkness of our minds. We all get our names in the paper someday. I pray not before our time. I want to sing you a sad, sad song that I wrote to make you smile. And then we could pass it along. We're only here for a little while. Ooh, 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 When I was young, all I did was take. I've been trying harder to give. For so long I was living to die. Now I'm dying just to live. Now we'll leave here kicking and screaming the day that I take my rest. But I've got a whole lot more in me till the end of my set list. Still time to sing us a sad, sad song full of hope to make us smile. And then we could pass it along. We're only here for a little while. Woo, woo. And the crowd goes wild. Thanks for tuning in and let me do this, everybody. Appreciate it. I'm going to sing you a few more songs here before I hit the road and head back to lovely Bloomington, Illinois. Man, it's been so long since I've played a show and somebody just comes and puts a beer on the table. How about that? That's one way to get me to never leave. By the way, here at the venue tonight, I am surrounded by a couple volunteers that make all this happen. What an amazing place. Thank you all for making me look good and sound good. It's not always easy. I do a live stream every Tuesday night from my Chicago Farmer page. So if there's not anything happening at the venue, check it out sometime. Make sure you check out what's going on at the venue first. But I also do a live stream every Tuesday night. And now that it's gotten above freezing, this Tuesday we're doing a beach party. So you may want to see that or you may not. I don't know. Got to have fun out here in this world, people. This is a song I wrote. I spend most of my time these days in a van with the band that we call Barbara Streisand's van. She's a beautiful vessel, and we love her very, very much. But before we got into Barbara Streisand's van, I would get around in my 2014 Ford Fusion with 230,000 miles, which is pretty much my home away from home when life is normal, or at least halfway normal. I love that car. I would have hit $250,000 this year if it wasn't for this damn pandemic. I'm pretty pissed off about that. And every once in a while, I used to have to get to a gig by plane, and I hate getting on planes, especially with this guitar, which is now worth more than my 2014 Ford Fusion with 230,000 miles. But sometimes in this business, you gotta do what you gotta do. And I remember one night, I was playing a gig in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I was opening up for one of my heroes, Robert Earl Keen, and I had just a killer gig. It was just, I killed it. I don't like to toot my own horn, but I killed it. And I went home, and I was riding high, and I was feeling good, and I was heading home with more money than when I left home, which doesn't always happen. And I was just bobbing around in the car and singing to myself and on top of the world, and then bam, I hit a deer. And as soon as I hit that deer, I thought to myself, maybe I should try to fly more often if I could ever afford it. And it happened on Father's Day, and that's a tough day for me because my old man's not around. I know I talked about him earlier, but when he was around, he was always the most optimistic person you'd ever meet. And so as I sat there on the side of I-74 with my car and my guitar and my notebook and the deer, we all got in a little circle, and we came up with this one. Yep. A country boy from Illinois Well, I got a fear of flying. It ain't so much the flights or even the heights. It's more the flights, the heights, and the dying. But I gotta get me and my fiddle to the show. This work I'm doing keeps me moving. Well, I got a long way to travel. It sounds insane to board a plane when all you know is hard road to gravel. But then I recall what my daddy told me long ago. He said you can stick around with your feet on the ground, but there ain't nothing wrong with getting high. 'Cause you can't drink a beer while you're driving down here. You can't hit a deer in the sky. True story. Yeah, you can stick around with your feet on the ground, but there ain't nothing wrong with getting high. 'Cause you can't drink a beer while you're driving down here. You can't hit a deer in the sky. Every night in 2020, in January and February and March, at this part of the song, I would ask the crowd to do a huge sing-along. And I remember on Valentine's Day, we did it at the Castle Theater with about 500 of our friends, and I'm still tingling from it. And then I saw a memory of it last week, and about brought me to tears. So, thank y'all for watching. I know Scott Tipping has a good voice. I don't know about the rest of the crew here, but Nick said he's deaf, but I know he can probably sing. So would you all indulge me one time? You can just hum it, really. And people at home, you have no reason not to sing it at the top of your lungs. It goes like this. You can stick around with your feet on the ground, but there ain't nothing wrong with getting high. 'Cause you can't drink a beer while you're driving down here. You can't hit a deer in the sky. It's the feel-good hit of the pandemic. One more time with feeling. You can't stick around with your feet on the ground, but there ain't nothing wrong with getting high. 'Cause you can't drink a beer while you're driving down here. You can't hit a deer in the sky. A country boy from Illinois, I used to have a fear of flying. Oh, thank you. Oh, I wish y'all could be here. These folks sound great. Sound great. Thanks for being here, everybody. I'm going to do 2 more songs for you here and then get back in that car with 230,000 miles and head back to Central Illinois. But this has been a lot of fun. Thank you to Nick Leroy for bringing music to Central Illinois' ears that we typically wouldn't get. It's greatly appreciated. And thank you, Scott Tipping, for shining a light on all these venues that we love and appreciate so much. I'm sure Scott Tipping knows that he is grateful to have the venue, and I would like to say that the venue is grateful to have a Scott Tipping. What a beautiful partnership. Right now I'm going to play a song from a band called Old Crow Medicine Show that's been kind of my go-to here for the last year or so.
And I got to play a few shows with Willie Watson from Old Crow, and I remember him playing this song at an opera house that we played at in Stoughton, Wisconsin, and just kind of brought me to my knees. And I've been playing it ever since, not as well as him, but I tried to. And then the second song I'll do to close out the night, I was lucky enough to have a Scott Tipping join me in the recording studio to play on it, which was a huge honor. So we'll take you home with these two, everybody. Thanks so much. Keep your eye out for the venue and NTL Productions in Chicago, Farmer. And we can't wait to do this with you all in person very soon. And we are hoping to have another sunny and lovely outdoor show here at the venue at some point this summer. Well, my friend, I see your face so clearly. A little bit tired, a little worn through the years. You sound nervous, you seem alone. Hardly recognize your voice on the telephone. In between, I remember before we all got shut down. We'd ride out the edge of the highway, follow that lonesome broken 55 south. We're all in this thing together, walking a line between faith and fear. And this life don't go on forever. When you cry, taste the salt in your tears. So come, my friends, let's put this thing together. In worn out shoes our feet have trod. And if you want, we'll try to sing these songs forever. Change our ways and spell our names to God. We're all in this thing together. We're walking a line between faith and fear. This life don't go on forever. When you cry, taste the salt in your tears. All we are is a picture in the mirror. Fancy shoes now beneath our feet. Now there is a slow road to freedom, heaven above and the devil beneath. We're all in this thing together, walking a line between faith and fear. And this life don't go on forever.
the salt in your tears. Oh, when you cry, taste the salt in your tears. Woke up this morning with the last night's blues. Tied one on, but I lost my shoes. Don't need a paper to know the news. Think I'll just go uptown. Everybody there's throwing around my name. Seems like I'm always catching that blame. It's just another one of them small town games. Think I'm gonna lose this round. Everybody knows the kind of life that you're bound to lead if it's wrong or right. Everybody knows all about your share of ups and downs. Everybody knows everybody in this town. Long, tall Molly in her mini dress. Saturday night, she's a ballin' mess. Sunday morning, she'll confess. Everybody's listening now. Later on, bound that same night, two grown men in a barroom fight. Factory's gone back on strike. Everybody's talking now. 'Cause everybody knows the kind of life that you're bound to lead if it's wrong or right. Everybody knows all about your share of ups and downs. Everybody knows everybody in this town. Everybody knows everybody in this town. Everybody knows.
The song features Scott Tipping on the record. So I know there's a lot of Scott Tipping fans out there who thought that they had his full collection of work. But they don't, because he's on this record, which means if you're a true Scott Tipping fan, you gotta go buy this record right now to get the full, complete works of Scott Tipping, everybody. You might be able to find it over there at Kiss the Sky record store too in Batavia. You never really know. Thanks, everybody. Everybody knows the kind of life that you're bound to lead if it's wrong or right. Everybody knows all about your share of ups and downs. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody in this town. Everybody knows everybody in this town. Everybody knows everybody in this town. Everybody knows. Woke up this morning with the last night's blues. Tied one on, but I lost my shoes. I feel a whole lot better now playing at the venue. Everybody knows by now.
Be safe. Thank you very much.